mystical psychiatrist, contemporary of Carl Jung, and we were asked to go back to the time we had decided to become a teacher. And everyone went back to like when they were in the 3rd grade and they loved Mrs. Mulrooney and they wanted to grow up and be like her, or when they were in high school and their teacher was a real dork and they, you know, someone who was real mean, and they said, well, I'm going to get into education for revenge and show them how to do it right, you know. And some people, it was when they were in graduate school, they took an elective and they really liked it, or they volunteered in a school, whatever it was. And I had gone all the way back. I was going back, when did I say? And I flipped out to before I was born. And it was like a group of us. And we were you know, discarnate consciousnesses floating through the universe. And the metaphor I have was like about, you know, 50 people on Harley Davidsons, you know, all kind of fun, little irreverent, you know, but very spiritual, cared about the world. And we were going through space just on like a vacation. And all of a sudden...
A road trip.
Yeah, a road trip. Hey, road trip. And so... We were coming by Earth and we looked down and I went, oh my God. And see, I was born in 44, which is right during World War II. And we looked down and I went, oh my God, there's like an accident. It'd be like you're driving on Route 66 and there's an accident. You would pull over to help. Yeah. And I said, guys, I got to go down there and help. You want to come? And some guy said, you're so codependent. You know, just come on, we're on vacation. Can't you enjoy yourself? You know? But some people said, no, I'll go with you. And so literally came down, got born, you know, and my whole life has been about helping the world be a place that works better for people and more, less pain, less struggling, more joy, love, etc. And I started to think, you know, every once in a while I'd meet someone like you or someone else and say, oh my God, you're part of the Golden Motorcycle Gang, you know, and we're all in that same age range, you know, and we're all dedicated to making a difference. And I actually went out and I found these in a store, these little Golden Motorcycle clocks, and I started giving them to people who were part of that Golden Motorcycle Gang. And so then what happened was about 4 or 5 years ago now, we started the Transformational Leadership Council. I had this desire and this is another example of people coming together in community, where I said there's not a professional association for people who run transformational training groups like Landmark and LifeSpring and Insight and all that. So I called up all the people I knew that were in that world, like Gay Hendricks and John Gray and Bill Harris, who runs Holosync, and John Assaraf and so forth. And I said, would you come to my house and we'll have a meeting about maybe creating an association? So they all came, 30 people sitting in this very room that we're sitting in, and everybody wanted to do it. And so our logo for the Transformational Leadership Council is actually the Harley Davidson with the wings coming off, and then TLC for Transformational Leadership Council, and also TLC means tender loving care. So it all kind of came together in a very amazing way.
Well, one of the things I'm finding, and I was inspired by that story, and I actually think on some level it's a literally true story. I don't think that it's just a metaphor. Yeah. I think that there's a great number of souls, if you will, who have chosen to incarnate at this particular moment on this planet. I don't think it's an accident that all these prophecies of 2012, because as you were saying, it's not just the Mayan. Almost every major culture has predicted that this time, more or less, it could be 205, 210, 220, was the end of a major cycle and the beginning, or at least the opportunity for a new cycle.
Yes.
And the new cycle, the Mayans are very specific about it. It is about being less in the ego, less material, more what I would consider the classic values of all civilizations, the joy, compassion, love, sharing. So there is something unique about this time. And I actually do believe, as we saw last night in the film from Barbara Marx Hubbard, about the cosmic code, that there's actually a code to the universe itself, that the designer or the intelligence behind the universe itself actually does have a point of view, if you will. And the point of view is more for greater artistry, if nothing else, greater complexity and greater joy. And that there is a crisis actually on the planet right now, because as we saw also in the film last night, a birth from one end looks like struggle and chaos and danger, and the other end, when you have a successful birth, of course, is all the new great opportunity. And so we have both going on right now at this planet, and we do need, if you know, Barbara calls herself a midwife, I think that it's really a large group of individuals who are all participating in trying to assist the birth of this new consciousness, which is definitely coming forth. And so I think that your metaphor of the motorcycle gang, you know, having a good time and seeing, hey, we got some problems down there, we better go help. And I think that's actually what's happened. And it's probably thousands of people that are playing major roles right now.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm finding as I go out and interview, what your work is doing is so complementary to the work of so many other people. Gary Zukav, HeartMath, Gene Houston. And then I'm starting to find other countries that we're not as familiar with. The work that is going on with the Art of Living with Sri Ravi Shankar in India. And one of the things that I'm hoping the 2012 Chronicles is going to do is start connecting these groups, because there's real value in what we're all doing together. And there's really an important difference that is going to be made by human beings in terms of what is actually going to happen, not only on planet Earth, but in reality, the entire universe. Somehow, and it doesn't mean there isn't intelligent life out there, I'm sure there is, and there's other planets and other situations that are also important. But for some reason, planet Earth seems to have a particularly important role. I think part of it is because there's free will on this planet. And what we decide as human beings is actually going to determine the future of this planet and the future of the universe in many ways, because everything is interconnected.
Yes.
So I just, I was very inspired when you told me about the motorcycles, and I don't know if I'm one of the drivers, but certainly totally compatible with it.
You are a member.
Okay, well that's great. I am as proud of this as any vehicle I own, and I have some fancy vehicles. But this is really special. Thank you so much, Jack.
You're very welcome.
The other thing I wanted to let you know, and this is totally unrehearsed. I haven't spoken to Jack in a couple of years. We're actually doing something where the training that you're doing, I think, is going to be very important. I've been meeting with Jose Arguelles and Irvin Laszlo, and what we're trying to do, I know you haven't had a chance to read the novel The 12 yet, but in the novel...
I actually read most of it last night.
Oh, you did? My
yes.
gosh, that's fast.
Yes,
Max. Max. Well, you'll be very interested. I don't want to give it away, but the condor and the eagle theme comes through in the end. So
I actually saw that.
Okay. Yeah. But what we're going to try to do is actually create 1 million groups similar to the group of 12 that meet together in the novel. And we want these groups, I've been talking with HeartMath about each one of the 12 individuals focusing first on getting to inner green. Happens, I didn't know this, total synchronicity. I came up with the concept of inner green as sort of clean out your own stuff first before you start trying to work with other people. And I interviewed...
Spiritual sustainability.
Something along those lines. Emotional sustainability, if nothing else. And I was interviewing one of the founders of HeartMath a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "You're really going to get a kick out of this. We've developed a meter that actually measures people's emotional and heart state."
Yes.
And we ended up selecting green as when you're in your optimal, most coherent, positive self,
right.
You're green. So, okay, we're going to work with HeartMath and hopefully get all these people to get themselves to inner green first, and then start meeting together exactly as you're talking about to sort of look at locally what they can do in their local community to start making a difference. And then connect what we hope will be at least 1 million of these groups so that we'll have a minimum of 12 million people. And it seems to me one of the things that we should do as a minimum is make available the tools that you're developing in your workshops. And some of these groups may elect as part of what they're doing in their meetings to take these workshops.
Oh, great idea.
And we've got other groups out there that also bring something. For example, Gary Zukav is working on things that have to do with spiritual partnership, which are totally aligned, I'm sure, with your work. So what we're trying to do through Planet Change is create sort of a resource file so people not only do this grouping of 12, but also have a place to go, because it's not enough just to meet. You have to first have a focus. The focus that we're providing is really think about how you individually and locally and then globally can make a difference to ensure that 2012 is this positive outcome. But then the thing that we're not able to provide, because it takes years of experiences you and so many other people have worked, of providing the tools and techniques so that people not only can get to inner green, which is just the beginning, but also learn to effectively communicate with the other people.
Well, we could probably work together to create some kind of manual of, much like a 12-step program has certain things they do. And
well, and it's interesting you mentioned 12.
Yeah.
I didn't know this when I wrote the novel, The 12. I actually wrote the novel because I had this near-death experience, and there were 12 names, and most of the first half of the book is kind of an autobiography. And what I found out after I wrote the novel was 12 really does seem to be this super powerful magical number.
Oh, it's everywhere.
I mean, it's not just the 12 apostles, but it's almost every major religion. I even found out the Mayan had the 12 princes of Ixbalba. I didn't even know what that was about. But then you go, I didn't know, you just told me something new about the